What's up, guys? This is Jasmine, and you are watching M&J Games. Today, I am showing you my challenge park. I think this is episode 5. I'm so sorry I haven't updated this series in a week or so. I've been a little bit busy. I've been trying to work on my sandbox park, and this challenge park just kind of fell off on the wayside just for a little bit. So I took a little hiatus, but I wanted to get back into this challenge. And today I am showing you a little bit more of the details. So um, in the last video, I started on that lightning themed roller coaster. And so on this episode, I am expanding the queue line, and I'm adding a little building over it, or at least part of it. And I'm trying to get the theming on point. So it took me a really long time to figure out how I wanted this building to look like, because I wanted it to look like the other building, but I didn't want it to be as cool as the main building. So it took me a long time to figure out what I wanted to do with this roof. And if you remember, I had the yellow metal walkway ceiling originally as this roof, and so now I'm changing it to a chain link fence sort of deal, and then I have the rectangular art piece at a diagonal on the top. And then I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with my special effects. So it took me a really long time to figure out that I really wanted it to be kind of smoky, since it's supposed to be like a lightning strike sort of theme for the roller coaster. So I was kind of going for like a smoky, like stormy effect. So that's what I've added at the top. Those little green, little, they're kind of green, they're kind of like aqua green or something, sitting there. Those are the smoke pieces. So I'm just trying to figure out how I wanted to connect this rectangular shape to the chain link fence. And I came up with a pretty cool look, so hopefully you like it. I think it looks really cool, and it's something that I plan on implementing throughout the park. Um, I also really enjoyed creating the the main station for the roller coaster with those art pieces, and it's just a really cool design that I haven't used before this park. So I'm really interested in how this is shaping up. It just seems very cool to me, and it's very modern. And so it's really making the park kind of have a different take. Like originally, I was kind of going for like this rustic sort of vibe, and now it's kind of transforming into this like modern, I don't even know how to describe it, but like modern, but also with like rustic influences, I guess. Which that actually sounds very similar to my other sandbox park called Copper Lake. I had a lot of modern and wood pieces in that, but this is still taking it to a different level as far as the modern pieces go. So I'm really excited with how this is turning out. So I decided to try to implement a triangular structure to go in between the chain link part and the the black part. And the only reason I did that was because I did that on the main station for the coaster. So I thought it would be cool if I could try to recreate that on this second building. And obviously, the game doesn't have triangular pieces that are that large, so I basically had to build them, build them myself. And it took a lot of tinkering and trying to figure out how I wanted it to look. But I think it came out pretty well. So hopefully you like it. This is normally I am like one of those like lazy builders where I really don't like to build a lot of stuff by hand. If I can get away with it, I will. But this station and this coaster really kind of took my design skills a little to the next level, just because I had to, because I just had like a sort of a vision for how I want it to look, and it just wasn't working, and I just had to try to play around with it a little bit and figure out how I wanted it shaped. And I think that's really one of the main challenges of playing this game, is that you have these ideas in your head, and then it's like, how can I make this happen in the game? Because yes, the game offers so many different pieces, but at the same time, you might have like this idea and it's like, dang, I don't know what is the right tool for this idea. And so I knew I wanted to make these giant triangles, and it turned out that I think I ended up using some coaster supports, I think, or those might be metal columns, metal alloy columns. I'm not sure, but I'm willing to bet those are the coaster supports. Sorry, I don't remember. I don't remember which one I used. Anyway, so then I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do on the back side, and I thought about putting up a sign, and I really wasn't happy with those signs. It just wasn't how I wanted it to be, and I'm still not quite sure what I'm gonna do with that back. So I think I might just leave it. I kind of like that it's sort of off kilter a little bit. So anyway, so I'm just trying to figure out how I want these buildings to relate to each other. Like, obviously I want them to look similar, and so that this is all part of the same ride, but I also wanted them to look a little bit different on the outside. So I played around a little bit with the windows and the coloring and the outside of the building, the colors for that. I think I ended up I think those are the same colors as the original building, but I'm not quite sure. That the bottom part looks a little bit darker than the original one, so I might have to lighten that up so that I can make them match. So another thing that I had to deal with that I didn't really show too much in this video was the queue. So the queue is elevated, and when the queues are elevated, you can't get rid of the curb, and I was having a really hard time figuring out how I wanted to make the curb go away, and I still haven't figured that out. I think I'm just going to have to keep it how it is with the curb showing, just because I just can't stand having those pieces, and the little customers are like walking and you can't see their feet. It just bothers me. So anyway, that might be in the next video where I figure that out. I'm not sure. So now I am just placing some lights. I made my park dark because I realized, oh gosh, I do not have lights in here. So I'm just placing a few and trying to figure out what style of light I want. I really do love these Victorian lampposts. Those are my new faves in the game. I think those came with one of the content packs, and I really like them. They kind of have a gothic vibe to them. I mean, I guess that's what Victorian means. So they could look spooky if you wanted them to look spooky, or they kind of look classic at the same time. I just really like them. So anyway, I'm just adding some of those around the park, and just adding a little bit more detail to some of my spaces. And I don't think this was in the fourth video, but I made this little food building, and it just has a little smoothie place in it and a little coffee place. So I'm just adding some lights to that, and you'll see that I add some of those little awnings. Those awnings are my absolute fave to put over my little stores. I just think they're really cute, and they have this like little boutique sort of vibe. And it's like they're small enough so that yes, they are advertising the store, but you don't have to feel like you need to use those giant logos, which I did use them here, but sometimes I don't use those just because I don't like how they're so large on my buildings. So if you have not used the awnings, I highly recommend them. I just think they add a little bit more substance to the little stores. So just one of those things that you might want to try. Okay, so I'm adding a little bit more to that, and then I decide on a window to go on the sides just because I felt like they looked a little bit bare. I don't know if you can tell, but I added that little braided fish thing. It's not a fish, but it reminds me of a fish to the top of that little building as well, and that's from the lightning roller coaster station. Can't talk. Okay, so after I did that, I really I focused in on my main food hub building that's towards the entrance of the park. I really just did not like how it was looking. I didn't like the brick, and I didn't like the green color that I had with it. So I decided to play around with that and try to tackle that. I'm probably going to have to redo the entrance to the park as well, just because now that just doesn't match anything in my park anymore. So I decided to go with the little braided look again. I just really like how that turned out, and it looks really clean, and it almost looks like it could be a coffee shop or something. So anyway, I made that 2 levels up, so it looks a little bit different from the other ones. But yeah, I just think it looks cool. And so I cut out a lot of this playtime. For this video, this was probably about 3 hours total of playtime, and I've sped the video up 4 times, I think. Otherwise, I think this video would be pretty boring because it's just me moving stuff around over and over again and trying to figure out what I want to do. But I just I'm trying to keep these videos pretty short just because I know that, you know, we have limited time. So I don't want to bore you with too many details. But you can see here mostly what I ended up with. I decided to use the modern wood wall pieces in the middle to kind of go with that sort of rustic modern theme in the park. So I think it looks really cool. I'm probably going to do something similar to the entrance building to the park. I just think just to tie it all in together, I just think it looks really cool. And yeah, I think that's I think that's it on that one. Another thing, guys, I still have not decided on what I want to call this park. If you have any ideas, please let me know. Leave a comment. I am leaning towards something like, I don't know, maybe in the next video I will drop a few suggestions and then maybe you can vote on them or something, but we'll see. Now that I'm looking at this park, there is no water in here, so I really need to work on that. Maybe in the next one. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. Okay, yeah, so I'm just covering up the little smoke machines just because I just don't like seeing that aqua color. Okay, so we've skipped ahead a little bit. So in actually, okay, wait, we're gonna backtrack a little bit. So in my other videos, I had made a ride that was an indoor ride, and it was based off of a police officer type department building. So I decided to change the design of that. It was just too black, it was too dark, and I actually looked up some cool police department buildings, and I found this really cool design. So I was trying my best to somewhat recreate it. It doesn't look anything like the picture, the picture that I had found, but I really like how this turned out. And I also implemented the triangular shape in the sort of awning there, and it looks really cool. And it's also keeping in with the same sort of colors throughout the food hub building towards the entrance, with that brown and black and white sort of look. And it took me a while to figure out how I wanted the result to be. So you can see I'm playing around with some smaller pieces to try to connect these two shapes, and I ended up with that one. I've never used that piece before in my life, and it actually fit with what I was trying to do. Yeah, it was this actually probably took me an hour trying to figure out what pieces I wanted to go where, how I wanted them to look. And I did have those other triangular pieces that were blue, but they weren't lining up the way I wanted them to with the diagonal sort of awning that I have going on. So, and so I knew that I needed some way to connect those to make it look like it had structure, like it was being upheld with something. And so I had to do this sort of manual design, and it took a long time, but I finally came up with something. So you can see I'm only placing these windows here just to make sure that I'm lining up my my little pieces together properly, because they were not on a grid. So I used those windows as a frame of reference. So yeah, this is just another aspect of I think I'm just gonna keep saying this over and over again throughout these videos. Like the building aspect is, you're gonna spend like 90% of your time building buildings in this game versus the actual roller coasters. And it's kind of like, which aspect do I like more? Do I like building the roller coasters, or do I like building the buildings? Personally, the buildings are super tough just because you might have something in your head and it just doesn't work out how you want it to work out. Planet Coaster also has very like square shapes, so it's very hard to break out of the square if you're trying to build something. But another thing too, the coaster building is pretty tough, at least for me. I get more frustrated building the coasters because you have the little rating system, and it can't, especially with the G-force stuff. Usually the first time I'm like laying a coaster out, I'll do the first test run and it's literally at like 20 on the on the fear scale, which means your G-force is like way crazy high. So to me, that's more frustrating than figuring out what these buildings are going to look like. I actually, when I was in middle school, I wanted to be an architect. So I think architecture is just something I've always been interested in. Obviously, I'm not an architect, but it building these buildings inside of Planet Coaster does kind of bring out this sort of creative side that I don't really get to use a whole lot throughout my daily life. So anyway, that's a little bit of background. So I'm just going back and I'm changing this blue covering to be white so that it matches the building, because I'm getting rid of that blue accent that I had originally on this, and I just think it looks a lot cleaner now. And especially with that black brick, it just looks really, really nice. So that's basically the end of the video. I really edited out a lot on this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any suggestions or anything you'd like to see in the next video, please feel free to comment. I'm going to expand on my lightning coaster. Not the coaster, the station, the queue. That's what I'm going to expand on in my next video. But I really appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week.